HR issues can kill you. One complaint against your company can turn your world upside down. And you spend way too much time dealing with HR when you should be spending your time on making a profit. You should talk to Bambi. With Bambi, get access to your own dedicated US-based HR manager starting at just $99 per month. They get to know you and your business while providing HR expertise and the personal touch you need and want. They're available by phone, email, and real-time chat, so onboarding and terminations run smoothly. Team members reach peak performance, and your business stays compliant with changing HR regulations. And with Bambi's HR Autopilot, you'll automate important HR practices like setting policies, training, and feedback. HR managers can easily cost $80,000 a year, but Bambi starts at $99 per month. Schedule your free conversation today to see how much Bambi can take off your plate. Go to Bambi.com right now and type in Accelerate under podcast when you sign up. It'll really help the show. Spelled BAM, BEE.com. Bambi.com. Type in Accelerate.
Somewhere out there, there's a man on a park bench eating his 500th PB&J. He has no idea Papa John's has new Papadillas that are way better than a boring sandwich. With Papa John's best meats, cheeses, and veggies hand-folded into a crispy flatbread crust. Someone better tell that man. Get a new Papadilla in one of 4 flavors for just $6. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich. Papa John's. Not valid with discounts, fees, and taxes. Extra prices may vary.
Welcome to Accelerate Your Business Growth with your host, Diane Helbig. Diane is a leading small business development and leadership coach, author, and speaker who is passionate about sharing valuable ideas, tips, and techniques with business professionals worldwide. Diane brings you the world's experts and gurus in all things business. Whether it's sales, structure, social media, planning, or plateauing, guests bring their expertise and energy to each episode. When growing your business is your focus, Accelerate Your Business Growth is the show to listen to. Got a topic or guest suggestion? Let Diane know. The goal is to make sure you have the information you need to move your business forward. Thanks for joining us. Settle in and enjoy.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. Our podcast is sponsored by Audible.com. Audible.com is a leading provider of spoken audio entertainment and information. Listen to audiobooks whenever and wherever you want. Get a free book when you sign up for a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/businessgrowth. This podcast, it continues to gain recognition as a resource for small business owners, entrepreneurs, and sales professionals. From MSNBC's Your Business to Inc.com to Fit Small Business, Proven, a whole bunch of sites out there. Accelerate Your Business Growth podcast is enjoying inclusion on lists of the best podcasts to listen to. This is in large part due to the fabulous guests that I have the opportunity to talk to. And have had the opportunity over the years. These are folks who give of their time and their expertise to join me in a conversation so that you, the listener, can do better things in your business. And today is no different. Today, my guest is Maury Rogow. Maury is the CEO of RIP Media Group, an executive producer, author, speaker, and an expert in the field of content marketing. He founded RIP Media Group, which focuses on the art of visual storytelling for business leaders. RIP Media Group works with clients as diverse as Comcast Universal, Kaiser Permanente, LexisNexis, and Ben & Jerry's to produce their video content and brand strategy. Before founding RIP Media Group, Maury had built a prominent career in business development at Avaya, Lucent Technologies, and Geotel, a startup that was sold to Cisco Systems for over $1 billion. He's launched dozens of new products and businesses successfully. Revenues from campaigns he's created and supported are currently in the hundreds of millions. So thank you so much for joining me today, Maury.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Well, I am excited to have you here. We're going to be talking about storytelling, which is a huge topic, and I'm certain that some people are doing it really well and other people are not. So,
Very true. Very true.
right?
There's some models out there. People are like, ooh, I saw that. I want to have that. So let me just copy it. And it may or may
Right.
not work for you. So
Exactly. Exactly. So let's talk some about how do I want to? I would really like to start by talking some about people who are starting a business and what is difficult about that. What you think the most difficult part of that is, because I think that then even for people who are already in business, I have a feeling it tends to be the same thing over and over again.
yeah, so happy to. I mean, we are a business that started off with me, like you said, in the old second bedroom, and then and grew, and grew pretty steadily. So, by the way, a few years ago, I wrote a book called Rise of the Entrepreneur, which is about this. So I do have a couple of clean answers for you. What's the most difficult part about starting your business? I think was your question, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the main thing is, can you find an audience that needs something you can provide? I mean, I really think it's that simple. Is there an audience out there that will buy and has a need for something that you can make or create or source, fund, etc.? And I think what's happening for the past, say even 5 or 10 years is a lot of people are like, oh, people need this. They'll create, some get funding, some don't. Some people end up going broke because they don't know if they have a market. What they do is they create and sink all their money into product development without testing it. And I think that's a huge mistake. So some of the steps you got to take are, find a message, and I can help. This is obviously what we do. We help people find a message and create a message that the user or the audience can really quickly understand and gravitate towards, right? So you can test that out without spending, $10,000, $100 or $1 million or tens of millions of dollars on a product. You can actually do, test pages, landing pages, small ad campaigns, create something that says this is coming, this is in beta. See if there's a use, see if there's a need out there, then start building, build your marketing and of course, build your product. And I've done the opposite, a couple of times. And then I did, this Fruit Media Group, we're a video first marketing agency is what I call us. And it was based on customer need. I started off as a social media agency back when nobody was thinking that was something you pay for, right? It was 2008, 9, and 10. And there, I'm like, no, social media is going to be the next big thing. It's, and I was not following my own advice, which I learned. But people were saying, you know what, but we need good content. We know that. And I was like, well, fine, let's start off with a video, because I've produced a couple films and, produced a lot of content over the years for these different companies that I help launch their products for. And this was like a side thing. Fine, I'll do a video as part of the campaign. And then I started realizing when I look back, 70% of our revenue was from video. 30% was from the social media piece. And I thought, okay, time to do a pivot. Everybody needs something that I can do here pretty easily. Follow my own advice. So that's really how, in a sense, how we started as a small business. And I'd say that's, that was a long answer, but, really find the audience that needs something you can provide. And then I think stage 2 is really about the people, the process, and the systems. You as the entrepreneur, or I like to call it intrapreneur. If you're inside a company, you have a new product you're going to launch, you have, you're in charge of marketing campaigns, you're in charge of something in your domain. Some people aren't entrepreneurs that can risk it all and go out there and try to raise money or have the bank, the bank account to support them. Great. You're an inside in a company entrepreneur. You're an intrapreneur in my book. So you can do the same thing. So find the need, obviously, build the product, you've got the marketing, but then it's to find the right people. There's some tricks to that, but then it's processes and systems. So you've got to build something that's scalable and repeatable. And that is, I can be happy to credit the person that, said this a long time ago to me, which was Lou Volpe, who He was the vice president of sales and marketing at Geotel, that company that you mentioned that was sold for, it was actually $2 billion, right? So he's a venture capitalist now and has sold multiple companies to different companies, built them from scratch. But his whole model is, find something and build something that is scalable and repeatable and keep adding fire to it so it can take off. Anyway, I could keep going about that, but I want to know if that actually answers your question well enough.
Yeah, I think it does. The thing that kept coming to my mind when you were saying that was, I completely get it. Make sure you've got something that people want, right? Because you can think it's the greatest thing in the world, but
Exactly.
if no one else does, right, who really cares? You're not going to be able to make money at it. But then I wonder about these folks really connecting with that audience. Like, I think a lot of people struggle with finding the words or the vehicle or a combination of that to really be able to communicate effectively what it is that they think has value.
Mm-hmm.
So, would you say like there's a strategy that they can use for connecting with an audience? And if so, what would it be?
Yeah, that's great. So completely agree, because a lot of people, especially in tech, we kind of are people in the technology world and biotech or, that kind of thing. I mean, anything from chips to software to SaaS, whatever. A lot of times in that world, they're celebrating their own victory that they created the thing, right? So they always talk about how you can do this, how we built it, how fast is this chip? And Cisco was like this, the speeds and the feeds, and it's 100 megabyte. Now it's a gigabyte, all this kind of throughput. You know what? Nobody really cared. And there was one company that came along. I mean, the tech buyers absolutely cared, right? They got it. But the business buyers didn't care. What did they care about? They cared about what it would do for them. So you got to switch the thinking from you, obviously, to your customer, but you got to think about, the Simon Sinek piece, which is why. Now, his thing was all about leadership. So a lot of people kind of change that to be marketing. Simon Sinek, it starts with why. It relates to marketing. It was really about good leaders start with why. But you can relate it over if you think about why it's important to your audience again. What are the results they get from your product or service? Are they better in some way? Are they faster in some way? Faster to market in some way? Are they stronger, literally healthy, more stronger? Are they sexier? Do they look better? Do they have more time on their hands to spend with their family? If you can show people the examples of the results and talk in terms of results, you're much further down the path. And you're much further down the path to connecting with somebody emotionally, because we all buy based on emotion rather than, data, facts, and figures. So like story will stay in people's minds and data will stray, right? And I think the best example of this is, so story stays, data strays, and it's a fact. And so think about this. So I do this, a little challenge question. Do you remember who the first MP3 manufacturer was? MP3 player, earbuds, little portable device you walk around. Who was the first one?
I don't know.
That's okay. It's okay. And
Sony? I don't know. Should I say
Sony's
Apple?
Sony's a great answer. The Walkman, right? They could have owned the market, but they didn't. And the answer is, it doesn't matter. They're out of business because some guy came along and said, hey, you can put 1,000 songs in your pocket with this thing. And they had incredible commercials, and it was Steve Jobs and it was Apple. And no, they weren't first. They were much more, they were late to the market is what I was really saying. It was F10 Networks out of South Korea, and they went out of business. And so did a lot of other folks. I mean, the Walkman didn't make it, they converted. So the iPod came out and just destroyed because it was really simple, but he told a story that was really simple to understand. You can put 1,000 songs in your pocket, and then it was all lifestyle. It was all results. I can walk around, I can run, I can exercise, I can be on the go, I can listen to my favorite songs, I can do this wherever I am. I'm not tethered, I'm not, etc. So we could see it, and it was a beautiful story. And honestly, that changed Apple's future, right? I mean, think about where they are
Yeah.
now. And back then, nobody remembers this. Remember, a couple of years before, they got, $100 million in funding from Microsoft because they were back on their heels. Steve Jobs was kicked out of the company, et cetera, et cetera. They were really hurting. So a good message can really make a difference. And then to answer your question, the most effective, like what are some strategies? So we came up with an acronym that we use all the time if we're doing a kind of a commercial launch or an awareness launch, when we're creating video or commercial, that kind of thing. And it's the stuff. What's the stuff in this product? What's the stuff that we can show the world? And the stuff stands for what's sexy, what's touching, what's unique or unexpected, what's funny, or what creates fear in the hearts and minds of the viewers. So the stuff, sexy, touching, unique, funny, or fear. And if you go back and you think about some of your favorite commercials, maybe, I could use our own examples, but I'm happy just to kind of think bigger world, Super Bowl commercials. Super Bowl commercials typically go for what? They go for funny, right? They go for unexpected and they go for funny. And, but if we think about, let me go through each one. I mean, if this is interesting to you, I can expand on it a little bit more. Is this something you want me to go a little further with?
Yeah, because when you say it, so I instantly think of the Subaru commercials.
Yeah, which one?
Because the one where the dad is following the bus when he puts his daughter on the bus.
Oh, yes.
A couple of years ago, he puts his daughter on the school bus, and then he follows the bus to make sure that she's okay.
Of course.
Well, I followed my son's bus when he was in kindergarten, and he was going from daycare to the Y program. I mean, from kindergarten to the Y program. I showed back up at school. He had no idea that I did this, and I followed the bus to the Y.
I have a daughter now. I'm sure that I will do the same thing. I don't want to tell you. We have a little, like she's not even a year old, and she has a quote phone that has a little tracker just so I know where she is. It's her mom, but so I know that sounds crazy, but hey, it's a complex.
Yeah, but
world
I think
out
this
there.
is really, but this is really a good point, because it's when you feel an emotion, you laugh at it, it tugs at your heartstrings, maybe it scares you a little, then you have that emotional attachment to the product, the organization, right?
Absolutely.
Wow.
If you touch an emotional chord, then people will, our memory, it actually goes up by 300%. So 3 times more likely. Yeah. If you tell a little story or a snippet, or, think about the talk shows even, like a Jimmy Kimmel or Fallon or whatever, when people come on there and they talk about their movie and facts and this and that, you kind of forget about it. But if they talk about the funny thing that happened or the scary thing when they were in the car that went over the bridge or whatever it is, they tell those real stories. That's really what they're doing. They're getting you attached emotionally to the people in the movie, to the movie itself, and, because you like the folks, kind of behind the scenes or on screen is what that's about. But if you think about that, that commercial is touching. And the other rule, I mean, I have a bunch of these. I have a whole list of 10 more rules, but one of them, you said it, is relatable. You've got to make the story relatable. If you make it too highfalutin and esoteric, sure, you might get 10% of the audience, okay. Or if you make it really obvious, the most obvious stories we see now all the time in sort of what's this, these are called explainer videos. You hit somebody's website, you're supposed to learn about you do learn about their product a little bit. And, qualify, like, okay, I understand what this does and how this could help me. I'll sign up, I'll give you my email or my Facebook like so I can get more information. But what's happened is an extremely basic story structure has come about, and it doesn't work anymore. So that story structure is the 3-act structure that does work in films, but it's been so simplified it doesn't work. Because story structure is, for Act 1, establish who we are, find a hero, follow the hero on an insurmountable journey, right? Think about Star Wars, right? That kind of thing. Insurmountable journey. Rey is going to do what? She's leaving her planet, she's leaving her planet to go where? And, can she do this? Then she hits a point she can't go beyond, but she looks deep inside herself and finds the strength and perseveres. That's Rocky. That's the new version, which is Creed. That's, The Godfather. That's every movie that we love. And that also
Yeah.
works in commercials. So what happened in explainer videos, it got so dumbed down that there's no emotional content anymore. We get this. Hey, this is Bob. Bob's in accounting. Bob's really frustrated. Bob can't get these things done until he finds XYZ software. Now we can do all these things and he's a hero out of there. Right? So we see these and we're like, like if my name's Bob, maybe I relate. Or if I'm in accounting and I really have those exact problems, maybe I can relate. Or I've never seen a television before, or YouTube. Then I'm like, oh,
Right.
wow, that's really good. So I totally get that. That's the basic story structure. So you've got to take that basic story structure. And then what we do is we have to spin it on its head. We do need a hero. We do need them to go through a journey. We do need either that person or the product to be, the savior, right? To come in and kind of save the day, that kind of thing. But you have to have emotional hooks in there. If it's not funny, people won't remember it. Or if it doesn't fill you with fear, people won't remember it. If it's not unexpected, which I think is the biggest thing, unexpected.
Yeah.
And one of the ways to be unexpected is grasp your arms around being the underdog and hold it close and embrace it and say, absolutely. I'm the underdog. We are a tiny company and we are fighting against the odds and we want to win and we want to do it with you because everybody loves the underdog.
Yeah.
We root for Harry Potter. We rooted, we just went through those, those folks. I mean, let me ask, what's a favorite movie? Just any favorite movie of yours?
Oh my gosh, I have to pick one. Let's see.
Name a bunch. Name a bunch is fine.
Steel Magnolias is one of my favorites.
Oh, that's a good movie.
It's a great movie. The Wizard of Oz, Sound of Music.
Wow.
West Side Story.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
okay, so let me...
Miracle on 34th Street,
Jeez, okay.
I know.
These are total class, like the AFI list of top 20 movies or whatever.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah. But those are all very touching and beautiful movies. You
Yeah.
didn't say like Shawshank Redemption or The Godfather and, Mad Max, like my list. But let me pick Wizard of Oz, right? So Wizard of Oz, doesn't Dorothy follow that exact structure? She's this little girl in the middle of Kansas with a little dog. She's sick, right? She might not make it. She spins into this other world, total fish out of water. What's she going to do now? She comes across these, very different, kind of, creatures, whatever, the lion, et cetera, and makes it through. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I can make it through all this. We got the evil witch and we got the good witch, and makes it through and comes back home. It's really satisfying. It was really amazing. There's so many stories behind that particular movie. So there's my review in, 20 seconds, but that's the story structure. So
yeah.
But what did they do? They added all those different elements to it. And you can see scene to scene, they added things like, touching. They added very unexpected items, right? I mean, well, I don't have a heart, or, I'm not smart enough, all the things that we have to overcome, to be better. And that's what she found in herself. And that's what we find in ourselves when we watch that movie, or if we watch a really good movie, because we're all watching the screen, relating everything that happens to ourselves. Yeah. We're not thinking like, oh, well, if I start telling you a story about the last time I saw my mom, you will probably start thinking about the last time you saw your mom. Right. And your listeners will too. So emotion, bottom line is, I'll give some hints and tips and whatever, just straight out tools that people can use, like a workbook I put together. If you'd like, I can kind of send you a link or something. Maybe you give it to your listeners. I'm happy to do that for you.
You can tell them about how they can get it towards the end.
Sure.
That would be totally awesome. So I got to take a quick sponsor break. So hang on there for a second. Accelerate Your Business Growth Podcast is happy to be sponsored by Audible.com. Audible.com is a leading provider of spoken digital audio entertainment and information. They have over 150,000 titles to choose from, and you can listen to them on any device, including whatever you're hearing us on right now. And if you sign up at our link, which is audibletrial.com/businessgrowth, you get one free audiobook and a 1-month trial of the service. Some examples of books you can listen to on audible.com are 80/20 Sales and Marketing by Perry Marshall and The Go-Giver by Bob Berg. So visit audibletrial.com/businessgrowth, explore the books that are of interest to you, and receive one free audiobook when you sign up for the trial. Today we're talking with Maury Rogow about the importance of effective storytelling when growing your business. Now, before we got on this podcast, you told me a story about a little girl who was telling her story. And I would like you to share that with the listeners because it's going to lead into my question, which is, okay, how does someone make sure they're being effective with their storytelling? So
that's great. That's great. So we had a 75th birthday, and our whole family got together from all over the nation. We all flew in here to California, and got together. And anyway, so it was story time. One of the 5-year-olds decided it was story time. So she was telling a story, and it was entertaining for a solid 45 seconds to a minute, and then it got a little repetitive, and then it was going on. And my brother said, "Okay, kid, story's over." And she said, "Be quiet. The story is not done yet. I'll tell you when it's done." And then we all just laughed, and we said, "Yeah, no heckling, right?" And so she kept going and going and going. And it was adorable. It was a great way to handle the situation, diffused him, right? So we all listened to the end of her story. Probably 5 or 6 minutes later, she finished up, and it was great. She got a big applause. So she handled it. But what it reminded me of is there is no be quiet, don't change the channel if you have a video on YouTube or if it's on your website. There's no way to stop people from clicking away. So I think that was, what we were talking about before. So the question you had was, how do we hire that little girl?
How do you make sure that you're being effective with your storytelling? Because, with that story, it's like, okay, well, you can't go on and on and on because nobody's listening. And when it's a video and it's on your website or it's on YouTube, people just click away. So, I guess what would you say is a really effective way to tell your story, to get your point across? Is it short? I mean, we already said an emotional pull, which I totally get, some sort of emotional, they can relate to it. But what else about it? Because I mean, we all know people who, once they start, you can't get them to stop.
Right. Well, we did little nuggets kind of popped out earlier, which are: don't talk about yourself so much, don't go on too long. So let me give some of the rules. One of the rules that she taught us, right, is don't go on too long. So maybe the question would be, how long is what's the right amount of time for a video or for your story? And I think in context of what we do, since we're truly a video first marketing agency, I mean, we also create, graphics that back up the video. I'll go into that at, another time if you want to know, but when we're talking about video or telling a story, you want it to be short, and it can get longer and longer as you are making friends with your customers. So in a sense, as they're walking through the customer journey. So if you think about the last time you purchased anything, there's a process you go through. And, a lot of people call this the marketing funnel. So the marketing funnel, you put all the customers in the top and you keep sifting them down, right? You give them information, more and more information, and then a few customers pop out the bottom. I personally feel like looking at customers as I'm going to pop them into a marketing funnel is a little insulting. So I made it more of a customer journey. And I think of it as, we are here to be a Sherpa, to be a guide, to guide people through the buying process, to make it a faster process and a more effective process so that you, your customers, the people listening here can get people to buy faster. So the steps in the journey are, first is just awareness. So it goes awareness, capture, nurture, educate, convert. And this is my version of it. Everybody has their own little version, but awareness is basically, I noticed something. I don't even know if I have a need, but I saw an ad. I saw an ad on YouTube. I saw a pre-roll video. I saw something pop up that made me realize, I didn't know that they did that. I could be really interested in that. So let me click here. And by the way, that stage is very short. You better grab people in seconds. If it's a quick ad on the sidebar of, Google or, you do a media buy, literally seconds, no more than 7 seconds are the very first, grab their attention. And then you can get 15 to 30 seconds of interest, right? So right there, you can do a very short ad, typically, 15, 30 seconds. Then the next step is the capture. This is where you have a mutual exchange of information. So now I want to give more value. Every step of the way, you want to give more value, give more away, which is really different than the way things were even 10 years ago. Now we have to be harbingers of information and educators and give information so that you can be the influencer, so that you can be the leader in your industry, because people want to work with the leader in their industry typically because you're more knowledgeable. You can still be small, you could be a single person shop, but if you have more knowledge and more information, people will see you as a resource. So awareness moves to capture. Traditionally, you can think of capture as a capture page, like a landing page on your website. And that's where you'd have, your product video or explainer video. Now you get 60 to 90 seconds. So then you have a little bit more time to kind of dig in and explain what's happening here, the benefits. Again, keep going with why it's important, what results you get, with a little more teaser onto perhaps a little bit of how things are done, just to make sure you have the right audience listening. Next step, if they give you their email address or click like, now it's nurture and educate. So those 2 steps. So nurture them along. Now it's time for infographics, possibly even white papers, but more information to prove that you deliver an ROI, to prove results. All those testimonial videos, other customers saying, hey, yeah, this thing really works. I'm thinner, faster, stronger. My husband loves me more than ever, that kind of thing. Like, that's where that information comes in, because they're going to start looking and they're going to realize, I'm now aware. I'm now giving some information away. I know that I'm in the market here. I got to look at some competition, because this might not be the best one on the market. Are they the lowest priced? Are they the most, they give me the most information, right? So they're going to look around. So you better be supplying more. So they just feel like, yeah, sure, these folks are more expensive, but look at everything that I get here and look how better my life would be. And then it's last stage, convert. So when we go through that, awareness, capture, nurture, then educate, and then convert, meaning they sign, yes, they're a customer now. You want to then expand the relationship to your other products. Maybe you have a book out or whatever it might be. Along that journey, you get more and more time. So at the beginning, you have 7 to 15 seconds, and then you have 15 to 30 seconds, keeping it short. Then in that capture page, the explainer video can go to 60 to 90. Then as you're nurturing along those testimonial videos, the return on investment pieces, samples of your work, all that can go on and be, longer and longer. Typically not more than 3 to 5 minutes in the video world at the longest stage. Yeah. But 3 to 5 minutes, if you're sitting down with somebody now, if you're actually kind of an in-person service or consultant or something like that, if you're in the same room or you're doing a presentation, sure, you can go 3 to 5 minutes. But I would really not want you to put something like that on a website, unless it's extremely engaging, hits all those points in the stuff, is extremely relatable. And then the other thing for long videos that actually work is it's got to be really topical, right? So it's got to be sort of in the news now, right? Happening now. I can relate to it. It's happening now. An example that I'm thinking of, just a random example, was there was a woman that put on the Chewbacca mask. If you're, you know what I mean, is that right? And she just
in her car, yeah.
Right, in her car, right? I mean, just totally. Now, she was doing videos like that for a while. It wasn't just her first video. But, she'd been doing videos along those lines, but she did, she did that. And it was just so genuine, so authentic, hilarious, right? So it hits all the points you're talking about. It's topical, it's relatable. Yeah. You can see yourselves doing that. She was not selling anything, but it turns out they sold out of those masks, and they sent her, the company that makes those masks actually sent her a check big enough that she was able to buy a house. Wow. Because she put that out there. So that was a huge, kind of a, huge win for her. But anyway, so those are the things. So think about where you are hurting or where you're losing people in the customer journey, right? So are they not even showing up on your website? Or, they're going to the website, but they're not converting and giving you the information. Okay, you're not giving enough, information about why they should be there, how this is going to help their life. Or, they're doing both those things. We get on the next step. They're aware, you've captured the information, but then they just kind of don't buy, or they're buying from somebody else. You're not nurturing and educating them enough. And if it's, you think you're doing that and they still don't convert, you're really doing something that's, you got to start looking at the true value and the ROI of what you're delivering. Yeah. So it's the whole customer journey is how I relate, all these kind of videos back to where are you in need? Let's fix the story there.
It's so great. I mean, that thank you so much for that. That is really interesting. And I totally get the longer, the further you get in the process, the longer you can spend time with them. Is there a particular stage that's most important, or are they all important, equally important?
They're all, well, that's really a great question. What's the most important stage? To me, the very beginning, if you don't get them on your site or get them to call you or whatever, your call to action is, if you don't start them down that journey, you don't really have anything, So I would say the awareness piece is really the most important part.
Yeah.
Capturing attention. Is there a need? Yes, I do have a need as the customer. Let me learn more. We got to get them there. And so this works, heavily in the consumer market space, because, smaller items typically, things that we buy regularly, or, that kind of a thing. So it could be anything from, a book or household item to, car, that kind of thing. The car, not that a car is a small item, but, regularly we buy those every 3 to 5 years typically. So you're going to see that kind of flow constantly from those kind of companies. When you're in the B2B world, sometimes there's even there's a higher level of awareness because, from a SaaS company and my biggest market, they kind of know each other a little bit more, what's playing. I think then you're really in the, really got to nurture a lot. They're aware of you, but they're aware of 4 of you out there. So how are you different? How do you stand out? What can you give? What can you give back? So if you have a longer term relationship, B2B, been around for a while, that would be, in my thinking, that's, the capture, and nurture.
Okay, that's awesome. So we're when this airs the first time, we will have just started a new calendar year. So what are your thoughts on any upcoming trends in marketing that you foresee?
Oh, that's great. So I think there's a few when I think about this. So trends in marketing are going to be along of what, basically the major trends in my mind for 2018, 19, 20 are along the lines of doing what I'm talking about, but really personalizing and making, personalizing the content and making them interactive, right? You've got to have authentic content. So if I can go back and if I can rewind for a second, let me answer that more directly.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Hopefully we can just edit that. It's so what I think the major trends in marketing for 2018, 19, 20 is taking what we learned up above, what we talked about before, with really good content, really quality content, but making it personalized so that each person or each type of customer that you have out there gets their own message. Because there's so much noise in the marketplace, you have to not just stand out by the rules of story we talked about, you have to stand out because it has to relate to me. So there's companies out there, we truly were one of them. I'm not trying to promote us at all, but we're working heavily on some technology so that if somebody visits in the winter from Minnesota, they get a certain kind of message. And rather than somebody that's in summertime in Florida, they're going to get a different message. And then if somebody, so we're really personalizing content and truly personalizing video so that they get different videos served to them based on who they are, where they are, their demographics, and so forth. Then the next piece I think that's really coming, and it's not quite here yet, but I think the next couple of years are interactivity. And interactive video, it exists, it's here, but the reason I think it hasn't been adopted as fast is because millennials are going to become the decision makers very soon. they're moving up in the ranks, right? They're getting older. They're
Yeah.
becoming, not just the entrepreneurs, but, they're marketing assistants, marketing managers, marketing buyer, director, that kind of thing. So over the next few years, as they grow into those larger roles and get bigger budgets to work with, they grew up with touchpads, touchscreens. They're not really the sit back and go to a movie kind of audience like the older generations like mine. They want to touch, see, interact, do. So it's gamifying everything. So I'm calling it interactive, but gamifying content is going to be much, much more important because that audience is completely used to it. A lean back experience isn't as comfortable as a lean in, leaning forward, touching, interacting, having decisions to make and so forth within a video or a game. And then I think the future piece, which is really an unknown, but I've been kind of trying to partner up with some folks and play around with artificial intelligence. I mean, it's here and it's here to stay. So what I'm wondering is, we know that there's artificial intelligence being used in marketing analytics. We know that there's artificial intelligence being used in chat bots and so forth, so that automatic answers and that kind of thing. What I'm thinking would come, and I'm starting to, talk to some people about this, like I said, is would artificial intelligence help create video? Could it go and source different clips and literally put together an emotional, commercial or an emotional trailer or an emotional product video without all the pieces that we need now? Because right now I need a director, a writer, a producer, right, to guide everything through the process, editing, After Effects and animation, sound design, a composer. I mean, there's a lot of pieces. Every one of our projects touches 7 to 10 people typically, or 7 to 10 skill sets, for a quality video. So would artificial intelligence go and be able to seek all those pieces out and match it up?
Wow.
And it's amazing to think about. And what I saw, I think it was less than a year ago, there was a trailer, I think it was for the movie Girl on a Train. I can't remember exactly. I believe it was that. But they had an AI program, IBM's Watson, create it. And it followed the rules that I went through above. One of the ones that it broke, it went on a little too long. I thought it was, I think it was like a 3-minute trailer instead of a 1 minute. But that no human touched this. It went through, it scanned the movie, it imported the movie, the entire movie in. It listened to music cues, it listened to emotion, what it felt was or saw as emotional points in the movie, compiled the whole thing and put it out, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And I was thinking, well, that's scary or great. I need to jump on this train now before Skynet and, Terminator becomes real and we're, whatever happens to humans, I don't know. But I think that's what I think is coming. So personalization, interactivity. Yeah.
Okay. Well, boy, things to watch out for.
It's going to be probably be a long time off, and hopefully it'll be very, very, very positive. So we'll see.
Right. Okay. Let's go with that. I think that is a good idea. So if I'm a listener and I'm thinking, okay, videos that are personalized, that really, or any sort of marketing that's personalized that engages with the people who are showing up, all of this sounds, I can imagine that some of the listeners are going, wow, okay, well, I certainly have no idea where to even start with something like that. And that sounds like it could be on the, the more expensive side. So does it work for small companies or just the big ones?
That's a great question. So absolutely works for small companies. And we have a lot of startups, a lot of companies that are, really growing. And what we found is we've got a few different statistics. So, the statistics are boring. I'll give it examples too. I got, because the answer is yes. I have found with my small business, with our business, that every dollar I've invested in video content has come back. This is pretty phenomenal, but come back tenfold. Now,
really?
Yeah. So it's a hard, even now, like right now, I'm putting a new series of videos together to follow my own path, to follow my own advice, basically, or eat my own whatever, but eat my own cooking. I'm going
Yeah.
to be giving a lot of information away over the next year on a lot of stuff we just talked about, but I'm just going to go out and putting, me on camera, giving the frequently asked questions away as answers, putting some animation in there to keep the eyes moving, keep it very visually interesting. But the content's really solid. And it's a little scary in two ways. One is it costs less money to make this stuff too. And then the other
Yeah.
thing is, do I really want to put all my secrets out into the world? And I decided, yeah, I've got to do it. I want to stay ahead because things are changing fast. And the more I've done that, the more has come back to us in a positive
Yeah.
way. So for us, it's 10-1. Just about all of our videos that we put out to the world, because we work very hard on them. They're higher end, sure, but when you put quality out, people really respond to it. So small company Viance Nutrition, they are they actually, I just ate one as a snack, by the way. It's a extremely nutritious, extremely tasty, totally organic, bar, kind of protein bar in a sense. And they have shakes and things like that. Well, they had nothing when we first met them a few years ago. It was just the owner, and he was manufacturing. And what can we do? So we started testing different things. So we went out and I put the product in about 5 or 6 people's hands for a month. I asked them to give away the product for a month. And then we'd go out and we'd put together testimonial videos if they were positive. We'd also put together a couple animation videos, and then we'd repurpose all that content. So this is the big thing. Yes, you might spend more for quality, but you can use it in so many more places. So I use this acronym CORE: create once, but repurpose everywhere. So create once, repurpose everywhere.
Oh.
So you got a great, maybe it's a $10,000 or $15,000, maybe it's $30,000 or $50,000 video. Cut it down to those 10 and 15 second splices. Use little pieces of it. Use still images. Create memes. Create blogs all around it. Create, little commercials, the 7, 10, 15-second clips for Instagram and so on. So we repurposed the heck out of it. He went from 0 to 180,000 active followers on Facebook. So,
Wow.
when we put something out that was incredible, and he puts information out there, very giving, he would get thousands of comments. At first it was tens of comments, then it was hundreds, then thousands. So he built an audience, and now he's got a recurring revenue model, recurring revenue business, including me. I keep buying, every 6 weeks I get a new shipment of these bars and that kind of thing, because they're really good. And, obviously I really like them, but there's no deal. I don't have any special deal with him at all. We launched them a few years ago and he's running. But I still love the product. So that works very, very well. Yes. So it definitely works for small businesses. Absolutely works for large businesses, but it's one of those things where if you wait too long, you're going to really be too far behind. So you've got to start creating now. It's the kind of thing where it's almost like if you don't have quality video now, it's like not having a website. It's becoming a standard, for websites out there. You've got to have video to walk people through. You've got to have video to explain the value of who you are and what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting because it really has become such a big thing. And there's so many people who, for whatever reason, don't do it or don't want to do it or think that it is cost prohibitive. But that's why it's interesting to hear the value that comes out of it. I would think as long as there's a strategy behind it. Like when I talk about marketing, and I'll say, okay, marketing always starts with strategy. Like don't do a thing until you know what you want to say, who you want to say it to, and where you want to be. Because otherwise you're just going to slap stuff out there and there's no connectivity to it, right? Like you said something about the capture, being able to have something that then you can pull them in so you can get their email or you can get their phone number for texting or something so that you've got them in your orbit.
Absolutely.
And,
you got to have your,
right?
you got to have your call to action. You've got to have, a goal for each item that you're creating. And you don't want to be too obvious about it. But, if you're giving information away, good, valuable information away, you shouldn't be shy about that. You can ask for something in return, and that's the whole point. It's a real value exchange. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and so, but hey, not everybody has the ability, or not everybody, if they're thinking I've got to be on camera, not everybody is photogenic or like I've got a face for radio, right? So, meaning I don't know if I look that good on camera, but I'm authentic, and I'm just going to put myself out there, and hopefully people see that and feel that it's authentic, it's real. I'm being honest, which I am, and I'm putting my heart into it. That's what people really care about. You don't have to look like George Clooney or Angelina Jolie to do some basic video. But again, in our example, we typically use, real people or actors. And what's interesting over the past 3 years, 70% of what we do is animation. And the reason the animation works really well is all the barriers go down. Like if you're watching somebody come on screen and talk to you, something's going to occur to you. Remember, relatable? So we relate that to, this guy reminds me of that guy in 3rd grade that beat me up. He stole my lunch money. There's just something I don't like about him, or this woman, this or that. So animation, all those barriers are down, and we're open to animation because I think it reminds us of a simpler time when we were kids and we watched cartoons, and we're just more open to the message that comes across. So there are, different mediums that you can create in.
Wow, that's interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that either. That's it makes sense when you say it, but I wouldn't have thought about it. Wow. Okay. So if you had...
Diane?
Yeah, are you there? Uh-oh. Can you not hear me?
Diane?
I can hear you. Yes.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. Did I?
What? Are you there?
I'm back. I'm here. I'm here now.
All right. We'll just edit it. It's all good.
I don't even know. Did you hear what I was saying?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I heard the whole thing, and then I commented and said something brilliant, I'm sure. But I wondered because you're like, hello? And I thought, oh, shoot. So, yeah. Okay. So not a problem. That's why we pre-record.
Thank you.
So we can edit. That is not a big deal. Okay. So this has all been fabulous information, and it's been a lot of information, which I really appreciate. And I so agree with you about just, you couldn't give enough, you couldn't give it all away and hurt yourself, in my opinion, because most of the people who listen to it aren't going to go off and do it on their own anyway. But what you do is you build trust. And so then they want to keep you around with them because they know that you are giving of information. And so then when they are ready to buy, you're the one they're going to want to buy from. So if you had one piece of advice to give the listeners who have probably been taking copious notes, what would it be?
Focus. You've got to focus. Yeah, gotta focus. It's a tough one for me. A real tough one for me. I'm the shiny object kind of guy. Ooh, that looks good over there. Let me create a product for that. Oh, this looks good. If you focus and trim down 2 things, one is going to sound crazy, but I'm going to say it. 2 things. One is your product set. Keep it manageable. Trim your products down. And the other one is trim your customers down to the best customers. Meaning, focus on the best customers, and more of those customers will come to you. And there's a great book. I have nothing to do with this book, but it's called The Pumpkin Plan. I forget the author. Yeah, The Pumpkin Plan.
Mike McAllowitz.
Yeah. I loved it. I thought it was great. I followed that to a T. So I called customers. I talked to them. We started getting referrals, that sort of thing, based on the people that we really want to work with, rather than just somebody would call in, we needed this, can you do that? And it was totally custom, totally out of, you find yourself in the weeds there, and you find yourself, with a whole pumpkin patch of little tiny pumpkins, rather than quite a few big, large, colossal pumpkins was the moral of the story, which are your best customers. So if you focus on the product for the best customers, the customers that'll buy from you, you'll be best served. That helps you clear your messaging. It helps you clear your marketing, and attack your marketing and bring the right message across. and just don't try to reach everyone. When we get the phone calls of, hey, we want to create a viral video, right? So that's fire, lightning in a bottle. And there are some rules to a viral video. But this is a product for everyone. No, it's not right now. And the story is that I remind people is, Mark Zuckerberg started not with 1.5 billion users, everybody, and the fastest growing market or the fastest growing audience now is still over 50, right? It started with males 18 to 21 at one university called Harvard, and then to other Ivy League schools spread out, as a profile basically. So, but it grew and grew and grew. Complete niche, total niche market. So, people say there's riches in the niches. I say, I agree, and focus your marketing, focus your product.
Wow, that's great. Thank you for that. That is awesome. I completely agree with that, and really appreciate you saying it, because I don't think people can hear it enough. So, I so thank you for sharing all this information. Will you tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you, find the book, anything you want to tell them?
Sure. Thank you very much. I love this. This is so fun. And I really hope there's some great information in here for the listeners. Our website is RIP Media Group. Like back in the day, they called it ripping media, like a rip tide or ripping a piece of paper. RIP Media Group. For a lot of information, obviously a lot of things I talk about today are there as downloads. I also have a kind of a personal website, which is Maury Rogow, MauryRogow.com. A couple things coming out, probably going to be a version 2 of that book, Rise of the Entrepreneur, coming out next year. The new blog series is going to be a great big giveaway. Some of the things that we talked about here today will be there, just given away in bite-sized pieces of information, 1-minute snippets. Here's how long a video should be. Here's how you target a market, etc. So would love to have people visit those, take a look at them, and they'll be on YouTube. Not a big, not paying. You don't have to pay anything for them, but just watch. It'll really help you create your own story and your own messaging, and help you create videos. One of the things that we have looks like first quarter or second quarter of 2018, the new release of the personalization engine. So the Express video. So you can go in and take a great video or one that we make for you, and you can create thousands of versions. So I can create a video for Diane, Bob, Joe, Gina, Wonder Woman, anybody I want, in seconds. So, wow. And I think it's really cool. And what we found in our test over this year is that's where we're seeing those, 400% or 500% increases in click-through rates and in conversions and so forth. So I'm building an engine behind the video, and we'll see where that goes. So lots of info there. Oh, and then I mentioned earlier the workbook. I'm happy to any listener that just hits the website and just says they're interested in getting the workbook. Just say that in the comment, and I'll send the workbook out to you as a PDF. And it'll guide you through the process that we use with our customers to come up with great ideas.
Wow, that is so great. Thank you. There is absolutely just terrific information in this conversation, and I really appreciate you sharing all of that other ways that people can get information. So it's great.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for being here with me. I'd also like to thank our listeners and our sponsor. Get a free trial and a free audio by going to audibletrial.com/businessgrowth. Continue to prosper and be curious and try new things. And until we meet again on another episode of Accelerate Your Business Growth, goodbye and good day.
Somewhere out there, there's a man on a park bench eating his 500th PB&J. He has no idea Papa John's has new Papadillas that are way better than a boring sandwich. With Papa John's best meats, cheeses, and veggies hand-folded into a crispy flatbread crust. Someone better tell that man. Get a new Papadilla in 1 of 4 flavors for just $6. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich. Papa John's. Not valid with discounts, fees, and taxes. Extra prices may vary.
Okay, parachutes ready.
Boy, the things I go through to get auto loan rates as low as 0.99% APR for 60 months on new vehicles with PenFed.
You are aware that you don't have to be a military member to save hundreds on your auto loan, aren't you? Anyone can join PenFed.
As someone terrified of heights, I probably should have looked into that.
Probably.
Drop me off at the shore.
PenFed Credit Union. Visit PenFed.org/autos or call 1-800-247-5626. Advertised rates available through the PenFed car buying service. To receive any advertised product, you must become a member of PenFed, insured by NCUA.
Are you tired of seeing your teen or young adult struggle on a path that clearly isn't the right fit? Is your teenager confused about which direction to take after high school? The future of work is changing rapidly, and our kids need to know all of the options available after high school so they're empowered to make the choice that is best for them. In each episode, we explore the latest trends that are shaping the opportunities of today and tomorrow. I'm your host, Betsy Jewell, and this is the High School Hamster Wheel Podcast.